So, it's late September, and it's been a quiet week. There have been relatively few deaths, at least coming through the Laurent family doors. Uh, uh, Hugo has just finished up sort of the last week's accounting. It was really kind of dreary, not just in terms of the business. I mean, you are a mortician, you work in a mortuary, but the numbers aren't good. Business is a little slow. Thankfully, you have other things to occupy your time as well. And it's a Sunday afternoon when there is some the phone rings and there's some tromping on the ground floor, and Solomon yells, "I'll get it!" And mutter. Sound travels in the old house. It's in relatively good shape despite its age. So there's no creaking and not a lot of weather noises to interfere with eavesdropping, if you like. But a minute later, there's that tromp of Solomon in particular bounding up the stairs, and he peeks his head around the office door, and he's a big guy. He's got kind of a dopey face. He's not stupid. He's just kind of impulsive. And he says, "Hugo, some guy named Venice is calling."
Venice. Interesting.
They'll want to talk to you. Don't want to talk to me none.
All right. Tell them I will be there in a moment. And he'll stand up from his desk and head over to the family phone.
In Italian, he hears, "Monsieur Laurent, this is Giovanni. I was calling to inform you that a Monsieur Giorgio Negri will be visiting you within the next few days on family business."
All right, I shall prepare the guest room. Of course, they are welcome to stay, and I am eagerly awaiting to hear what we must discuss.
He should not be staying long, however. He will wish for your undivided attention while he is there.
Oh, maybe and so. I shall ensure that we are not disturbed.
Very well. Adieu. Or actually, he says ciao, because he's not French. And sure as anything, a few days later, late at night, there is a knock at the door. It is blustery. This region of France does not get very cold usually in the autumn, but it is a strangely chill night. And there's a man in a large, very well tailored, very fine fabric, big black coat, and not exactly a wide brimmed hat, but wider than just a fedora.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Mr. Laurent, I presume."
Yes, of course. Please come in. We shall take our meeting to my office, where we will have complete privacy.
Excellent, thank you. And of course, Beauregard is there and takes the gentleman's coat and hat. And it takes Hugo no time at all to recognize a certain cast to the face, the set of the eyes, the curve of the cheekbones, the angle of the chin. And this man, Giorgio, is definitely of the family line.
Yes, and yeah, Hugo definitely like observes his walk and is looking at everything and would piece that together immediately, and he'll definitely straighten his posture and and prepared to like put on the show.
Mhm. Giorgio is otherwise middling height. Looks like he was once heavy set, but undeath has slimmed him down a bit. With salt and pepper, a very short goatee, and a hairline that was receding before he was embraced. And he comports himself as someone who is used to being listened to, who is used to being taken seriously. And you take a comfortable spot in Hugo's office. He does not wait to be invited to sit. He finds a spot he likes on the couch and places himself. And he says, "How have things been here in this lovely little town of yours?"
And Hugo sort of sits on the corner of his desk, kind of that half standing, half sitting motion with his hands perched, or his head perched in his hands. And he says, "Well, I will not lie. Things have been quite slow lately, but, I have hopes up that I will always hear about the newest things that are happening in town. Have I have hopes that things will pick up soon."
What would you think? And he picks a piece of lint or stray thread from the knee of his pants. Of perhaps moving. I understand that this is a family business, a long-standing establishment in the community, but perhaps someone with your considerable talents might find a bit more to do somewhere a bit more populated with more.
That is certainly an interesting business opportunity, to be sure. Where are you thinking? What's the catch?
No catch. We have a cousin down in the city of Bordeaux who has reported some interesting turns of events. There are those of us who are concerned that perhaps she's not up to the challenge that the opportunities there present. Out of character, Hugo knows exactly what he's talking about. Caterina Giovanni was a ghoul who was turned and then left behind as the rest of the family got the hell out of there. Their businesses and their general influence had been systematically dismantled by the prince, who seemed to have a personal grudge against them. And she was left as kind of to say that they were gone but not forgotten, sort of to yes, okay, fine, we're retreating, but we're leaving someone, so we're not really retreating, kind of thing.
Gotta have a placeholder.
Placeholder, exactly. And you also know that she is from a branch of the family that your sire, Achille, is not very fond of. Some discrepancy of interests and opinion that goes back from before Hugo's time. And Giorgio continues, "We have not invested much in Bordeaux in some decades, but maybe it's time we did. It would be a fine opportunity for a young man such as yourself just starting out."
Certainly. I would of course, be interested in opening, shall we say, a second location in somewhere that is much more populated and, much more local nightlife, as they
Mm,
might say.
that indeed. He takes out a slip of paper from his inside jacket pocket, and he hands it to you. Here is Katerina's number, as well as the contact information for another agent in town. And there is a name attached on the paper to that second set of information, but I dare not utter it. Get in touch. See what help you can be to the poor, overwhelmed girl.
Hugo will tuck the letter on the inside pocket of his suit jacket. Will say, "Of course, when it comes to matters of the family, it is always best that we help each other out."
Mm. Now, enough business. Where do you get a bite to eat around here?
Oh, I know a great spot. The locals are very welcoming. They shall definitely enjoy a new face.
And Giorgio makes himself easy to entertain. There are no illusions based on the sort of family connections that he mentions and his tailoring, that this is not exactly the kind of situation, not hospitality, the kind of lifestyle that he's used to, what you have to offer him, but he's very gracious about the fact that you are offering him good hospitality.
Oh yeah, definitely gotta show him all the sides. Of course, Hugo has his sort of, I don't want to say harem, but like his almost like cult-like following of
Mhm.
people that he has connected to, who are his herd, to be sure, who he very graciously makes like this big gesture of showing to Giorgio and being like, "Yes, aren't they great? Look at them! Look what
Mhm.
I've done here."
Um, Out of curiosity, the Giovanni are notable for the fact that their kiss is
Mhm.
painful. When they feed on a human, it does not have it doesn't inflict the same kind of stillness and euphoria that is typical of canine kindred. How does Hugo handle that?
I think for him it would be very much like almost sort of like a BDSM situation where like they like that would be something that this herd that he's cultivated, these individuals would be like have specifically sought him out for, and
Mhm.
it's like very much like a dom and sub relationship that he
Mhm.
takes great pleasure in.
Mhm. That's a perfect explanation. Wonderful. Um, when Hugo gets in touch with Katerina, she doesn't want to discuss too much over the phone. She would rather you come down to Bordeaux.
And he will of course be happy to oblige.
Hmm. Um, does Hugo take anyone with him?
He would not. He would rather go alone as almost like a show of power, like I don't need to have anyone with me.
Hmm.
And he also wouldn't trust his younger brothers to not muck it up for him.
Yep. Teo promises that he will keep an eye on Solomon, and Solomon,
Hmm.
as he's mopping up uh, a plate of cassoulet with a baguette, mouth half stuffed. What do you mean? And Teo just sighs resignedly before Hugo leaves. Bordeaux does, in fact, have quite a lot of nightlife. The old city, the main downtown, is cramped with alleys that barely fit a single car between the sidewalks, and is just infested with cafes and wine cellars and nightclubs. And of course, it's France, so there's a boulangerie on every corner that there isn't a tobacconist or what is termed then la Rab à la coin, the Arab store at the corner. And lots of cafes. There's a university with campuses sort of dotting around downtown, so there's a good student population. And it strikes Hugo that living here would be much, much easier. Not that he necessarily wants to abandon the family, not necessarily wants to abandon the family homestead, but this would be the high life comparatively.
Definitely.
And Katerina wants to meet in a very local seeming wine cellar, the kind of place where it's a little scruffy inside, because this isn't where the tourists go. This is where the everyday people go.
Right.
People who just, will bring their 3-liter plastic jug down, fill it up with wine at one of the giant tons just lining the wall, pay the €1.50 for it, which is an amazing price. And then just, decant it at home. Maybe a couple people hang out for a few glasses of the local with, a bowl of olives and a plate of charcuterie. But you're sitting, on bar stools basically and eating on the top of a barrel, scruffy, poorly lit. And she flags you down when you come in, and she is medium height and built vivaciously, and very much comports herself as the cosmopolitan, stylish Italian woman. And she greets you warmly, says, "Cousin, please join me."
Of course, you do the obligatory double kiss on the cheeks, and Hugo will, being such a tall, sort of lanky individual, will, as gracefully as he can, situate himself on this sort of awkward bar stool situation with these barrels, and we'll sit down. It has been so long since I've last seen you. I have heard interesting things have been happening in the city, and I decided, of course, to come check it out for myself.
Oh, of course. I mean, I was informed that you would be paying me a visit, getting in touch. I'm so glad, though. It's been far too long since we've had a chance to catch up. She catches one bartender in particular and says, "A liter of the local, please." And he brings out something that is definitely not wine. And she says, "One of the perks of having the kind of contacts that I do."
Of course.
So, yes, let's talk opportunities. There was a giant attack by the Sabbat not too long, about a week and a half ago or so. And the Camarilla are running scared, and it's wonderful. I've been informed by our other local friend that one of the well-loved members of the court has actually crossed the Sudario as a wraith.
Oh, Sahway. How unusual.
Bit odd, yeah. And this is delicious, because apparently he was very well liked and had certain very influential friends at court who miss him dearly, I am told. So if we could get him and sort of keep him as leverage, we could make some favorable changes around here, I think.
I see. Yes, this connecting with this recently passed individual will be very easy.
The problem, I am told, is that Thomas, that's his name, Thomas, is now enthralled by one of the local hierarchs, a wraith called the Drac. Terrible name, if you ask me. Far too cliche. But I didn't pick it. Anyway, being thralled so, summoning him is not such an easy matter as I would like it to be. And certainly keeping him from the Drac's clutches and being returned to servitude will not be an easy matter. Our local friend is attempting to negotiate for Thomas' freedom, but that is going to take a very long time and may not end as favorably as I might like. And I don't know what it is about him that he's so feeling about these, I don't know, bodiless balls of intention.
This sentimentality often gets in the way of business.
Yes. Anyway, stepping back, you know that the Giovanni perspective on ghosts is that basically they're there to be exploited.
Yeah, 100%.
And so the idea of negotiating for a prisoner's freedom like this is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, no, definitely like in his head, he's kind of like, oh, that's cute.
It's cute. Yeah. That's a cute idea.
So it's a splendid you have who is looking to negotiate. How would I get into contact with them?
Oh, I'll give you his number. And as she does, you realize that it is the second phone number that Giorgio gave you.
He definitely makes a mental note of that.
Yeah. He's very reliable, at least for me and the family, but he's just a bit odd. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's been his time in Bordeaux.
Well, I shall call and see what it is that I can do. I feel once we convince that negotiation is not the best path in order to claim this Thomas, that things will smooth out quickly. But what is it that you are looking to get out of this?
I understand that one of the locals who is close to Thomas is the favorite child of the Tremere Primogen, who is very close to the prince. I think that it would be a fantastic opportunity to exert a chain of influence, to have to give the family some more breathing room in town.
Yes, I have recently been informed of a business enterprise to expand the family name into Bordeaux to rebuild its reputation. I think you could be useful for your connections in this.
It is why I'm here. The trouble that I am running into, at least, is that, as I have, I suppose, alluded to, we don't have a lot of breathing room around here, and my access to the court and the useful individuals that would be able to make this acquisition smooth is limited.
I see.
Unfortunately, our friend is also not very well liked and has not made the inroads we would have liked. So he is also limited in some ways. We need some opportunity to present itself before we can connect all the dots, I think. I'm working on it. I have some acquaintances who are useful, but it's taking time.
And he'll kind of kind of a little quick brush off his suit jacket and takes a sip of not wine. And he'll of not wine. the local Bordeaux blend. And he'll say, well, put me in their room and I can charm the pants off of anyone.
She goes on to discuss family matters, family gossip. She is definitely trying to seem impressive.
Mm-hmm.
You get the impression that she is, in fact, pleased with what she has been able to at least maintain, if not actually accomplish, in Bordeaux, considering that she is disliked by the local sect that is in power and effectively being blood hunted by the Setites in town, who, for some reason, are cozy with the Camarilla here.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. The Setites, of course, not being as bound to rules and strictures around dealing with other kindred as members of the Camarilla are. And I'm sorry, you had mentioned wanting to get in touch with the other contact in town.
Yes.
What? Having a week between conversations with Katerina, at least, you would have had plenty of opportunity to do that. He wants to meet in an apartment that he apparently rents.
Cool. All right. So then, yeah, he would definitely. Is it in Bordeaux?
Yeah, it's in Bordeaux. It's in so if you think of Bordeaux as having boroughs like New York City within neighborhoods within each borough, it's in the borough called the Faubourg, which is west of downtown at least. Newer construction, still old, but a little bit more affluent. And he greets you warmly. He's got Mediterranean features, dark brown hair, and he's Italian. He's definitely Italian. He is not French. Speaks perfect Italian, and is actually, and that is actually what he wants to conduct business in. Seeing as how you are apparently a member of the family, and he says, "So, what can I do for you?"
Well, I was instructed by Giorgio and by Katerina that you would be a very interesting person to reach out to in terms of a certain acquisition that can be made in the name of a family. About a recently passed Thomas.
Oh, yes. Well, I am working to the best of my abilities to negotiate his release to our custody. I understand that the Drac is. I mean, honestly, I've just got to play along for a little bit. The Drac is loving hoarding or holding this over my head. He thinks I'm
And
kind of a nuisance, apparently, and it's. I think he's just enjoying having something that I want.
a feeling I could definitely relate to. But of course, why is it that the Drac has such power over you?
Over me, I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
Well, if he is simply lording this over you, well, is it not easier to take things by force? As he will, like, as Hugo will definitely, like, lean in a very sort of, like, purposefully invading his space kind of way.
And the other gentleman shifts. It doesn't exactly back up, but he's definitely trying to get himself a little more room. Yes, that can be very efficient, but I mean, you must understand the Drac is a powerful wraith, and I don't have any particular way of compelling him. I His fetters are a mystery. His passions, who knows? Um, Thomas, at least, I have been able to, uh, I mean, make a few guesses at, but the Drac, I mean, I have no way of really making him toe the line, if you will.
Oh, how interesting. These are well within my area of expertise. Perhaps I could help you with this.
Oh, really? What do you propose?
Well, of course, for this expenditure of energy and resources and research that will be required to track down uh, their ties, their fetters, perhaps you could do something for me. A favor or two that I could call upon later.
I'm sorry. We're talking about the Drac or Thomas?
Perhaps both.
Um, I have found it very useful to, as I say, I don't think the Drac is particularly fond of me, but I generally find it useful to maintain relationships with the local underworld. It's not, it's more constructive, I think, in Bordeaux at least, to not throw so much weight around. Now, Thomas Fetters,
Mm.
I can only guess at, but he does have a coterie that he was a part of, and he was especially close with a woman named Claudia and one of the Ventru, the prince's blood sister, Neve.
Mm. Yes. This prince is involved in everything.
I mean, he is the prince. His bloodline has ruled here for a very long time, actually. Did you know this was one of the first Ventru strongholds in France?
Ah, interesting. I did not know.
Hmm. It's been enlightening to just have conversations and, as I build relationships with the local ghosts. You can learn all kinds of interesting, useful information that way.
Oh, certainly. I quite agree. There are many that I consult in my homestead.
So I don't. I mean, I appreciate your offer and any help you can grant us in moving forward with, as I say, having Tama released to our custody. would be very much appreciated. As we say, this is family business, though. Family does for family, yes?
Of course, I would not dream of causing any ill will or for anyone.
And this strikes you as a little bit funny too, because you know that this person is not Giovanni.
Mm-hmm.
You are unclear about exactly how he became associated with the family. But Achille and Giorgio, at least, you know, sort of regard him as very much an adopted son.
Okay. So yeah, Hugo's definitely skeptical, but willing to work with them.
So I appreciate you calling on me. I very much enjoyed our chat. Is there anything else I can do for you, though? I am quite busy. I have several appointments left tonight.
Of course, you mentioned Claudia. If you could give me perhaps her contact information, then I shall work out this Thomas situation and how we can.
Well, I'm afraid what I can tell you is that she is the child of the Tremere Primogen, Lyle, and she hangs out with Laure Nouveau, who is one of the Elysium Keepers. She's, I think they hunt, well, Claudia at least, I think she hunts often at La Fabrique. But I don't know directly how to get in touch with her.
I see. Well, I shall investigate this Thomas situation, and I will find see if I could dig up any dirt on the Drac and perhaps give us some leverage in our further negotiations.
Wonderful. Well, I certainly won't take up any more of your time this evening.
And then Hugo will extend his hand for a firm handshake before making his exit.
Mm-hmm. The gentleman shakes Hugo's hand and politely sees him out the door.
Mm-hmm.
But about a week later, she calls Hugo again, and she says, "I found our opportunity."
Oh, really? And what would that be?
"I found us some friendly faces. When can you get here?"
Give me 15 minutes and I'll make my way.